doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
So from that perspective, Musa, can you just sort of give us your view about, what ideas and recommendations you think we should be putting into this, investment allocation plan for the Earthshot that will catalyze more African institutional investors like yourselves, and then of course be able to hopefully crowd in more colleagues like Gunther and the global institutional investment community. Two African green infrastructures.
Thank you, Hubert. I think the most important from an institutional investor perspective, especially a pension fund, would be to uplift the infrastructure, especially green infrastructure, not from a project-based investment perspective, but make it an asset class. As already been mentioned, group all the projects and make these Africa green investments into an asset class that is investable. So going forward, we're investing in infrastructure, green infrastructure to be specific, as an investable asset class. As long-term investors, pension funds are in it for the long term. We will look into infrastructure, especially green infrastructure, addressing some of the SDGs from a partnership perspective to address some of the challenges that we're facing as a globe, but also to expect the returns that have already been mentioned over the long term. What it will do for us as a partnership is we're taking out some of the challenges that we're having in identifying individual projects, but going into an asset class that is grouped together with all the returns that have been classified for all investors, and then we look at addressing all our challenges together. So partnerships is important for us. We've demonstrated that in South Africa, where 17 of some of the largest retirement funds have put together funds and attack investments in infrastructure. And that has realized in 1 year, for example, we've invested $400 million in identifiable renewable projects within a space of 12 months, where that was not possible before without the partnerships that were done within the retirement fund space. So partnerships, as well as elevating green infrastructure into an asset class, that will work and be attractive for retirement funds.
Thank you very much, Musa. Now let's move to Gunther. As I mentioned, on the board of Allianz, chairs probably one of the largest, if not the largest, networks convened by the United Nations of global institutional investors, the Net Zero Asset Owners Alliance. And I think the world in the global institutional market has this perspective that there just isn't really a bankable or investable at-scale pipeline of projects on the continent. So I'm really interested, and I know Gunther's been a great supporter. We've just put out, as a collective of institutional investors, a call to action statement to the key stakeholders, multilateral development banks, heads of state. We issued it just this week. It was essentially going out to, we represent about $100 trillion worth of institutional investors as part of that institutional investor group on climate change, amongst many others. So, Gunther, if you could just help us understand from your perspective how you would see the African as well as the global institutional investment community playing a different sort of more forward-looking role in developing that pipeline of bankable transactions. As I mentioned to Pablo from the NDC partnerships, there's a very clear and specific role that we could play. You'd like a consultant to come in and advise you on your green hydrogen strategy as part of your NDCs, or you could work with an institutional investor that's probably got some of the best and most proven green hydrogen project developers in the portfolio. We believe if you sit down with us and those companies, you've potentially got the money behind the company, you've got the company with the expertise, and you can save governments, project preparation, all of the administrative issues. Do you see that type of partnership being able to deliver at scale through the likes of the Earthshot, through the likes of the and institutional investor partnership? And if so, how would we do that? So over to you. A simple question.
Thank you. You mentioned that we are 20 trillion big. This is not right. We are 10 trillion big. But we can become 20 trillion big if we do, for instance, what we discuss here, right? At least we can make a step. And that's why I'm actually sitting here. I'm not going to now explain again what the problems are. You know what the problems. solution that we would like to offer is documented, as Google says. We have issued all kinds of position papers, how we want to work with development banks, how we want to work with project owners. And it is very much what Hubert already explained, and sorry for repeating it now. We do believe that we can be asked to work on project development. We can give the support, we can give certain form of advice. We don't believe we are going to do this because afterwards we get exclusivity or are allowed to only discuss with you these projects. We fully understand that if projects are properly developed, that you of course will go out to the market and use the competitive landscape. You will auction it out, you will look for the best financing, of course you will. But we do think we should work on developing these projects together with you, because otherwise this auctioning out is never going to happen. This is exactly the problem that you are right at the beginning of this panel. There is the money waiting for the project and projects waiting for the money. Yes, you know it. This is what we offer. We can work with governments on the development of project pipelines. We can go even further. If you now do think you don't want to reach out to individual investors, the Net Zero Asset Owner Alliance is convened by UN financial institutions, UN environmental program financial institutions. The secretariat of that initiative is the UN. You can contact the UN. And then some of these colleagues who are members of the Asset Owner Alliance, they are ready to work on project definition, on orchestrating who may be partners to actually join on and join in. And I repeat, this is not to be understood because then this is individual, this is certain selected financial institutions working on it. No, we want to first build the bridge, and then of course the project owners decide with who they are going to work. We do think we need to communicate this so clearly. Why? Because otherwise this gap, I repeat it again, between projects looking for money, money looking for projects will never be closed. So the investors need to step forward and need to be willing to give advice to help indeed to make these projects, as you will call it, bankable. And that's what we indeed put out there. Let's assume there is something like a target picture of your energy market. Let's assume you know what infrastructure pipelines you actually need to come to this infrastructure, to this energy market in 2030. Let's assume you can then talk to certain capital market participants who can give you advice how these projects can become bankable. This may be actually a solution, and there's not much more needed than what we just described in terms of reaching out to these investors. And I say there is a secretariat provided by the United Nations, so you have actually a very neutral platform to which you can reach out and talk. Is there, let's say, an investor group who can help? Mobility investing is first designing the project, make it bankable, and later on you auction out.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.